This week, the Valor Flight Crew podcast welcomes Ken Fox from Big Bear Fire Aviation.
At least this is my personal experience. Early on in my career, mistakes were something that I was terrified of. And only through flying and on the critical care side, you really start to appreciate and understand mistakes. Mistakes are learning opportunities, and I value every time that something doesn't go exactly the way I wanted it to go, because it helped me for the next time. And we can't be scared to understand that mistakes happen. Obviously, we work in high risk fields where your mistake could be detrimental to patient care. And we need to strive to always do what's right for the patient.
Welcome back to the Valor Flight Crew podcast, hosted by Echo and brought to you by Vertical Helicasts and Valor Plus. In this episode, we sit down with Ken Fox from Big Bear Fire Department for a grounded, real-world conversation about EMS, aviation, and the communities we serve. From the challenges of aircraft operations in a small, seasonal tourist town to the life-saving impact of air medical partnerships, Ken shares the realities of delivering critical care where resources are limited, but expectations are high. We talk about the importance of strong relationships between ground and air crews, the evolving balance between scene responses and interfacility transfers, and how innovations like pre-hospital blood products are changing patient outcomes. Ken also opens up about the ongoing struggles with retention and burnout in EMS, and why community connection, outreach, and education are more important than ever. It's a conversation about teamwork, trust, and the constant push to move patients faster, safer, and smarter, without losing sight of the people behind the mission. So strap in, check your gauges, and join us as we lift off into another story from the front lines of public safety aviation. Thank you to our sponsors, Airbus, Precision Aviation Group, and Metro Aviation.
Welcome to the Valor Flight Crew podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicast, produced in partnership with Echo, Every Coast Helicopter Operations. The Valor Flight Crew podcast promotes the personnel and life-saving equipment behind helicopter air ambulance services. Join hosts Mike Fideli and Blake Schreider for in-depth interviews and expert insights from air medical personnel, pilots, communication specialists, and maintenance crews who play critical roles in airborne emergency response.
Line 1 accepting.
Copy, Line 1, gotcha, accepting. You're going to be talking to Red Feather 1 on LCEMS.
What we've seen change is, with us being local into the valley itself there, we certainly, the guys aren't waiting on the ground for helicopters to arrive, which is great, because EMS in California is a funny beast. We are all EMS, the ground EMS is all kind of governed by local EMS agencies that are able to develop their own policies and protocols when it comes to treatment. And so treatments on the ground are oftentimes limited, especially when it comes to things like airway and pharmacologically managing airways and things like that. And so some of the decisions that would have to be made prior to, especially we do a lot of head trauma, just TBI central, because the snowboarding and skiing and trees and gravity and there's a theory of gravity that we prove true on a regular basis.
We're trying to disprove it, but
it's funny how we all try to be like, you know what, I should totally go snowboarding as a 43-year-old dude that's never done it. I should totally do that.
So there's a lot of TBI management, a lot of head injury management that requires airway management. And so the big difference for the guys prior to us being there is, are we BVMing this patient who still has an intact gag reflex, wait for the helicopter to get there? Do we go to our local facility and have that airway managed and then fly them out? And so now having a resource that can do all of that without having to delay patient care has been a very good thing. We've had a number of patients that I think we can draw some direct benefit to just facilitating how quickly we can get them off the hill and maintain a high level of care during that whole kind of clinical component side of it. Uh, the interfacility side is certainly the I hate to say the word bread and butter, but I mean that's kind of that's
Yeah.
kind of what HEMS is heavy onto the interfacility side. And you know, I got into EMS not thinking, man, I'm hoping for a ripping interfacility, like just
It doesn't get your blood flowing.
oh man. However, man, and I'll say it now. I mean, every once in a while, you're like, man, dude, that was a great transfer. I mean,
Man, that appendicitis. Oh
yeah,
man,
it's
it's a good thing we were there.
and it's funny because a lot of the times we are there to facilitate the speed. It's not so much the scope of practice. It's the speed, and that is a treatment, right? Speed of transportation is a treatment. But every once in a while, you get I just part of the EMS part of me just dies a little bit. You get a ripping IFT, and you get on scene, and it's
okay. We won't tell anyone you said that.
No, I'm glad nobody's gonna watch this. You get some and that's fun for me from the medic side because I didn't go to nursing school. Just like the fire side of the fire service, I've avoided nursing school. And I married a nurse, and that seemed like the way to do it for me. But you get to play in another side of the world that you don't get to normally. And that I think that's actually a lot of fun, especially if your passion really is on the medical side. It is, you don't need to poo-poo the inner facility just because it's an inner facility. They can be a lot of fun, and or at least they can be challenging, and they can really make you put they can make you put your thinking cap on a little bit more than some of the other ones. And so those I think those are kind of fun. So we get to see both sides of it. We get to see the inner facility side. We get to see the scene side. We get to land in some pretty austere environments out here in the middle of the mountain ranges out here, and that's been a lot of fun for the clinician, and it's really beneficial for the patient. When we're able to move those resources closer to the extrication. I mean, we have these windy mountain roads up here that some people zig when they should have zagged, and they end up in a tight spot. And so being able to get some of these resources closer to them has been a great benefit to our guys on the ground and the patients as a whole. Our local facility, we will often, if they have something that seems real questionable in terms of how quickly they need it out, we'll go bedside and just kind of hang out, waiting for them to kind of pull the trigger and be there as an additional resource to them. And so being able to blend both the interfacility side and the scene world is a lot of fun. And then, I mean, we, like I said, the dry lake beds, especially this time of year, this is riding season. And there is, my partner and I, a couple years ago, we had a dirt bike down that we ended up having to hike a little ways to get into, because just the canyon that they were in, we couldn't land in, and we're not hoist capable. And so our pilot got us about as close as she could, and then we loaded up, and I took a picture of my partner as we're hiking in, and he's got the blood cube strapped to his chest, and we got all the bags,
everything,
and all of the things, and so we were able to get there before kind of everybody else was. And so just being able to get those resources to some of these trauma patients faster is just, it can really be the difference in some of these patient outcomes.
You were talking a little bit earlier about the partnerships and I just wanted to try to hit back. What is your flight crew configuration? Are you
sure
paramedic, nurse, medic?
So we fly medic, nurse. And all the medics work for the fire department, and all of the nurses except for one work for Air Methods. And so we have one nurse who does work for the department. the when we started this program, initially the thought was that ultimately this program would look a lot more like an ADM, if your listeners are familiar, right? Where you kind of have a hospital crew or another crew on the provider's helicopter. And so initially the plan was for it to look a little bit more like that than it currently does. And at some point through this process, we figured that having Air Methods kind of keep control of the nurses was kind of better for everybody all the way around. And so yeah, we fly medic nurse, and which is here in California is a great benefit because, again, the way scope of practice varies county by county and throughout the state, having that nurse on board allows us to do a lot of the stuff that we might not be able to do otherwise. And so, but as I'm sure you guys have talked about, I think there is incredible value in having the medic nurse partnership. I think. I think that is one of the just best decisions that somebody long ago made, because you're talking about subject matter experts in areas, and so I think having a nurse and a medic is just one of the best decisions. I think that's a great crew
Configuration.
I don't know configuration, and I think it's a great one. Occasionally we get nurse flights, but we can never fly medic. We can only fly at a minimum medic nurse. But again, I think medic nurse is a great configuration for a variety of reasons. But it comes to experience and comfort, and we get in the back of that ambulance and I feel right at home. And we get into that ICU and my partner feels right at home. And so I think having both of those is a great benefit. We fly medic nurse, and then we fly single pilot VFR in a Bell 407. And then the maintenance crew, we have two great mechanics that are assigned to our base, and keep us in the air and keep us safe. And I'll tell you that component, the safety component, it was something that never registered in my mind before getting into flight. And having a private partner that takes safety so seriously, now being involved in flight, I'm really glad that it is it is taken so seriously, because I mean, you hear horror stories really from the past. You don't hear too much of it currently, of 15 years ago, X, Y, and Z. I was like, that doesn't sound great at all.
Right.
And so so we're really thankful that we have the kind of the maintenance guys there keeping us safe and keeping us all tuned up.
Absolutely. We've always said, in the past, our maintainers are unsung heroes. Like,
oh man,
it's just, I have the utmost respect in the world for every single one of them, because I know damn well if I had to take a helicopter apart and put it back together, I would have more than a few pieces left over and no idea where they're supposed to go. And I have no idea how they do it on a daily basis. So
you make it sound like it's not IKEA furniture, that you're not supposed to have some extra.
Listen, I have extra pieces with IKEA furniture too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But somehow I care about it less if my desk drawer falls out, as opposed to my left skid.
Right. Oh man.
So yeah, no, so it's a good configuration. Again, from the fire department standpoint, all our medics are held to all of the same standards as our private partner holds all of their clinicians. So annual testing, annual surgical competencies on all invasive skills, all of the same training requirements. It's all the same regardless of who the actual employer is. And so and that's a great opportunity for our fire department medics to really get quality education and further their care, whether they're on the aircraft or the ground.
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
I have to say, I also agree with you on the composition of your call volumes too. So I think we're all seeing that transition or that trend going away from a lot of the scene work all the time. Like that's when I first got into this, I was like, yeah, we're going to go on scene calls all the time. And like the program that I started at, we were like a 60-40 split, maybe 60% in a facility,
Sure.
40% scene. So we still did a fair amount of scene work and had a blast doing it. And then over time, as my career evolved and switched companies and started doing, now we do maybe like 80-85% in a facility. And so that 15 to 20% that scene work, it's still fun, but I find myself enjoying those inner facilities. Like I love them because I feel like there's so much more I can do. There's so many more medications at my fingertips. There's so many more invasive monitoring that I can do that gives me different answers that I can put together a piece of the puzzle in a different way. And I find them so interesting to be able to do it that way. So I'm glad to hear that, from the paramedic partners in the house, you're enjoying them too.
A ripping IFT. I'm totally going to use that on the next one, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, you bring up that's such a good point because, some of these small hospitals, and Mike, like you said, like they're limited in resources,
like we have more resources than they do.
Right. And Ken, like you said, you'll go there and kind of wait because it sounds like, hey, this patient might really need to end up going there, and you're already there. And already just another resource, right, to kind of really help get that patient where they need to go. And, one of my great mentors has always said, we don't get to choose, when we're invited, to come to the party, we just get a sudden invitation. You're like, whoo, boom, you're there. And so
right.
Patients don't follow the textbook, and, despite doing everything you can, you're like, hey, your blood pressure should not be doing that. It should definitely be going up. I have given so many pressors right now. And
right.
You're like, why is it doing this? But to be a part of that from like that bedside aspect and be that other resource, like that, you really do say that because, we all, we definitely have, where you said time and speed is a treatment, right? To the, it's not so much the things that we may have to do. It's just that patient needs to get to that next part of their care journey, and they just need to get there pretty quick. And that's our job. Totally okay. But when you get that one, like you said, if you have a lot of TBIs and let's say your weather's not great, now you show up at the bedside and you're like, guess what I'm doing for the next 4 hours, really having to dig through and really trying to rely on each other. So I think you've got a really good thing going. And like you said, that ripping IFT, you get back after that where you have to do so many things. You're exhausted. You're like, I think I used every cord, every cable, every single hit,
every brain cell,
bag of fluid, brain cell. Yeah, you've exhausted it all at that point.
And then there's still the chart and
3 hours later of your life you won't get back. Yeah, man.
Yeah. And I think actually some of those that we've had to take by ground because of weather have been some of the most interesting calls, because by the way, there's also no cell phone reception for about 3/4 of that drive. And so it really forces you to be a clinician, right? You have to actively manage the vent. 16 and 500 is not going to cut it on every patient.
Right.
And so you have to be competent and confident enough that you can actively manage the patient and not let the patient actively manage you. Yeah. And so being with those patients for long periods of time in less than ideal environments, it really allows you to kind of stretch your legs as a clinician, and I think that's what's been most fun for me developing as a medic is just understanding how I can expand myself as a clinician. when you're answering a 911 call in an ambulance, you have a handful of treatments that can be very impactful to the patient. You're with them for a very limited period of time, and then you hand them off. And so the flight side, whether you're flying or whether we had to take them by ground, I think it really lets you stretch, lets you function as you kind of have imagined that you would on that Ripon inner facility. But
that's what keeps it interesting, though, right? Like that's
no,
the cool part about it is having all of those different avenues. And it's the constant, like, I hate to say that we MacGyver things half the time, but like, you never know what you're going to get yourself into, so you just got to figure it out. And that's half the fun of it. Like, that's what keeps this job so interesting. And like, to have that complex patient, and then as much of a pain in the butt as it is sometimes to have that complex modality that you need to transfer them, whether that you end up having a mechanical issue and you have to go by ground, or weather sucks and you have to go by ground, or you have to do planes, trains, and automobiles to get there because they're on the top of a mountain. Like, all of those things, like afterwards you're like, man, that was a shit show. But at the same time, like in the middle of it, you're like, all right, cool. Like, what do we got to do next? And that's that complexity that to me is what's so interesting about this job. And it sounds like you guys have that quite a bit out there, way more than I've even, ever imagined in my neck of the world. And it's like, when we it's the troubleshooting thing that I think it's a puzzle. It's an escape room kind of a thing. And honestly, I think, kind of going back to the crew configuration thing, I think that's one thing that our medics allow the team to excel in is the facilitation of what's the next step, especially as your partner clinician is elbow deep in doing something for the patient. A lot of times, I think just from the real pre-hospital lifestyle is okay. I'm in the back of this trailer. How do I get this patient out to my gurney? And so I think from the beginning, the paramedics' mind is always kind of built around what are the next steps. Right. And so I think the logistics piece of it. So I think that that crew component, I think can be really important. And there's a lot of times when we finish a call, especially if there's some wonky extrication, or you had to take a side by side, or you had to walk in, or you had whatever the case is, that you afterwards, after you get the patient transferred to wherever you're going, you and your partner kind of go, "What the hell just happened? what the hell was that?" And but there is a sense of satisfaction in going, man, and sometimes they're clinically very sick and need a lot of the interventions, and sometimes they're not. It's just the puzzle of how do we make this happen. And so, I mean, that's it certainly keeps your noodle having to work in overtime sometimes to figure out what the next steps are. It can be a lot of fun.
I feel like such a prima donna, man. I would never make it out there, because if I'm like, what? I got to walk through that ditch, I got to walk 20 feet, and I got what? We got to. Oh my gosh, I'm spoiled. I have to say, man, like an hour at the most is like the longest I'm usually with patients for an inner facility. Maybe an hour 20 if we have to go a little bit further. And we're like, man, that was kind of rough. I don't think I have any room to talk now. None. Not at all.
I think again, if at some point you stumble across our Instagram page, you have to do the obligatory scenery picture of the helicopter in various scenic places, and we've had some really cool pictures of places that we've landed and scene calls that we've been able to be a part of, and you go, man, I don't think I'll ever want to do that again, but but doing it once is always something that you can think about later on in your career.
It's always after you do it, though. Like when you're doing it, you're like, dude, this sucks.
Not in the moment.
This is terrible.
or it's the anticipation when you get that first radio report of what it is, and you're like, no.
Nope.
No, I don't want. I don't want to do
want
this.
no
I don't.
part of this.
No, no.
If I'd only done 15 minutes of research before I went to EMT school,
Yeah,
I
just
could
that
be
extra
somewhere
couple
else.
minutes, I could have avoided where I'm about
Could
to
have
be.
avoided all
so,
this.
Yeah.
But that's the cool part too, and that's what I love doing these podcasts with various programs. So we've talked to New Jersey State Police, and we've talked with you. We've talked with you've talked about what it's like in Ireland to have the air medical services, and one of our first podcasts was with Team in Canada, in British Columbia, and it's like all of these programs, like it's just so different across all parts of the world to be able to hear what things are like, and it sounds like a pretty freaking cool job you got out there. And Blake, yes, you are spoiled. No one's going to deny that. I get maybe a little touch of it, but the things that you're doing on a daily basis out there, having to land in the middle of nowhere, hike into the woods, providing care in those austere environments. Like I've done like a touch of that here and there on some of those random scene calls that I get that have been kind of cool to go and do. But I don't get to do it nearly as much as you do. So I love hearing about all of these things and how those systems work together and how each of the facets of EMS and fire and police come together in those communities to be able to make this happen. And that's the cool part about hearing about all these things. So I really appreciate you sharing all that stuff.
No, I'm happy to do it, and it just reminds you how small of an environment or how small of a world this actually is. And when especially you start getting all those teams together, and you start realizing that you all end up know each other from somewhere else, and it's just it's a small world.
It certainly is. So I'm curious, kind of carrying off of that, you guys obviously have a very big. Or I should say a very close-knit family in your area because of the small community that is, number one, and the services that you guys provide. And obviously this has had a profound impact from the EMS and the healthcare side. How about that impact coming from the community side? Like what has the community response to Big Bear Fire now having a big bad helicopter that's flying around and being part of the community? What has that been like with the response from the community?
Thank you to our sponsor, Metro Aviation. Metro Aviation, the world's largest family-owned air medical operator, offers comprehensive aircraft services with 140 plus aircraft in over 25 states. The Completion Center installs medical and law enforcement kits and avionics, serving diverse aviation needs including offshore, utility, VIP, and corporate sectors.
Without being able to speak for the community, but just my impression, the impression's always been very positive. Right. The community has been very supportive, and especially we kind of talked about it earlier when we realized as a community that this wasn't going to be a significant financial drain on the taxpayers because of the partnership that was leveraged. Right. Yeah. And so I think once that piece of it was addressed and understood, I think it was very positive. I think people live in these remote environments because of you don't just get up here by accident, right? You don't. You have to be up here quite intentionally, and so people love living up here. They love being part of a small community. My wife and I moved up to a community just outside of Big Bear. Because we wanted to raise our family up here. And so the community values where they are. And so having an additional resource available to them, I think has been very positive. And the community as a whole has been very receptive to us being here. There's always give and takes with it. By us being stationed we're stationed at an airport, at a municipal airport in the Big Bear Valley. By us being there, we definitely are a little bit louder than some of the other birds in the area, and so there's that component, and we've had those discussions with the community of how do we be good stewards to our environment, because people move to the forest to not hear helicopters for funsies,
right?
Yeah, and so those are conversations that we've had, right? I mean,
Yeah.
those are conversations that we've had with the community, and the vast majority of the time, um, we don't just fly around for fun. Mainly
Right.
because at a, whatever that thing costs, Jet A is not getting any cheaper. So we're not just we're not just punching holes in the sky for fun these
Yeah.
days. And so if we're out flying
It's
around,
amazing how many people though think that.
yeah. I mean, I would love that. The only time we get to do it by
absolutely.
accident, like we get launched to a
Right.
call and get canceled en route,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh man, it's great.
You're
No
like, oh, this is
charge.
great.
I get
Yeah.
a little helicopter tour.
Yep.
So, but the reality is that if we're flying, we're going somewhere for a reason,
Yeah.
and the vast majority of those reasons are to facilitate a patient transport. And so, but again, those conversations have taken place, and I mean, I think as good stewards of the community, we need to be willing to have those conversations and talk to the public about that and have them
Yeah.
understand, what it is. But that's part of also understanding the community that we're in, and being part of the fire department's enabled us to do that. I'm not sure if you guys have seen our we have a pretty famous set of bald eagles that nest in our area. They've got a very popular web camera.
Yeah.
I
didn't
Jackie
realize
and
that was in your
Shadow.
area.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Oh, wow.
Jackie and Shadow. They live just west of us, and so avoiding them during nesting season is because the last thing you want to see on the web camera is our 407 cruising through the frame. And so
Right.
so
Probably
it's
not
the
good
little,
for business.
it's
Right.
it's not. And so understanding our part, how we are part of the community, and what we can do to participate in the community has been really important, and knowing how to not try to irk off the community is equally as important, and avoiding bald eagles during mating season is important.
Yeah.
And so but it's but again, I think that's just leveraging the partnership that the fire department understands of the community
Right.
with
Exactly.
somebody who is new to the community. I think that's you're shortening the learning curve because these lessons have already been learned. Let's not try to reinvent the wheel.
Right. I think it's great though, like with a company like Air Methods that has such a good footprint for doing outreach and being so open to saying, hey, send the helicopter over, go to that facility, go to that LZ training, go to that school where there's people that are up and coming that want to get into this field. We get to do a lot of that here, and I'm sure you probably get to do the same because like you said, you're recognized as you go throughout the community, having such a small town and where you're at. And so being part of that, it keeps that respect and integrity going. And I've always felt supported in everything that we do,
Sure.
especially for the community. And like you said, having those conversations is so crucial. So that way, when the people that need us and when we're there, we know we're doing it the right way and it's for them, and they're going to have the best outcome. That, we've been really blessed to have such a good partnership and really give back to our community.
Well, I mean, and I think you touch on a great thing, right? Is the outreach piece of it, and so we look at outreach in two different ways, or at least two different ways. So we do community outreach to the providers, to LZ classes, to the first responder agencies, to the fire departments. We bring a couple of helicopters out to the paramedic school for they have a big high fidelity simulation day, and so the students get to run calls and then load them, give report to flight crews, and then load them, and so on and so forth. So I think there's that piece of it. I think there's a big piece of outreach that happens with especially the partners on the medical side, for them truly to understand it, when the helicopter arrives, what are kind of our thought process.
Mhm.
And Blake, I don't know, or Mike, I don't know, you guys fly in a 407. We essentially can't access anything below the belly button once we're in flight, just by configuration of the aircraft. we on a number of times we've had our hospital employees out and come sit in the helicopter. See, this is the environment, and this is why maybe, hey, we take a few extra minutes at the bedside to get X, Y, and Z squared away, because once we're inside,
Right.
it's less than an ideal environment. This is why making sure that we have an airway that we can trust before we load into the helicopter, because intubating in a 407 is like the second to last thing I want to do in a 407. And
Yep.
I think the only thing, a left-sided chest tube would probably be the other thing that
Be
you
the
really
other
don't
worst
want
one,
to
yeah,
do in
for
a
sure.
in a 407. So, but I mean, those are things going through our head, but not necessarily where we are at the moment in time. And
Right.
so I think you guys have been there. I know I certainly have, where you're at a referring, whether it's on scene or whether it's at a hospital, and they're like, hey, can you guys, leave? And so
All the time.
Like, trust me, we're
and
trying.
Yeah.
We're trying.
That's the goal.
but it's definitely easy for us to go, yeah, give us a second, but
Mhm.
really being able to have them out to, I mean, our base is only a couple minutes from the hospital, have them out to the base so they can see some of the things that we are thinking about. We
Right.
just had a resident from one of our pediatric hospitals in the area do a ride along with us a couple weeks ago, and she definitely was like, I had no idea that what you guys are capable of doing or transporting, and some of the challenges that we have to operate in. And so I think that outreach to that and that perspective, I think, is really important, because otherwise they're just, can you guys please leave already? And I get it,
Right.
but there's other things that we're thinking about and for the same reason, I don't think about what their next step is in the hospital. That's not my environment, and so
Right.
that perspective is important for me too. But that outreach, not only to our students to see, hey, what's possible for you career wise, but also to our partners to kind of help bridge some of that gap's important.
Mike and I are both spoiled when it comes to helicopters. Mike more so than I am.
Please tell me,
maybe a little bit.
Mike,
I'm
what
in
are
a
you
130. I'm in a 135. And Mike, go ahead.
I'm in a
Go ahead.
155.
Yes. So, does a stewardess come with it? Like,
We do have in-flight movies, and
I would assume
there
there's
absolutely,
drink-
yes, there is service. There is drink service
of
along the
some
way.
type.
Yes.
What do you
It's kind
do
of
with all
expected
that
now.
room? What do you,
We
I wouldn't
it
even
is-
know what to do with all that.
It is wonderful. Not gonna lie, absolutely love it.
I mean, yeah,
It's a party.
No, I mean, the 407 is a lot like the 55, just wildly different in every way. You know what? I haven't had the opportunity to fly in a 55. But
Well,
I'll
come on
tell
up. We'll
you,
take you for a ride. We'll go for a
hey,
joyride.
don't threaten me with a good time. I'll tell you, the 407 is, first of all, it's a workhorse. I mean,
Absolutely.
it is.
Yes,
it
it
is
is.
an absolute workhorse.
Yes,
And I
absolutely
will
it is.
tell you, for 98.7% of the calls that we run, it's the right airframe for us. It really is. And I know that the providers like it because for maintenance and reliability and all those components to it. By the way, the reliability thing I care a lot about. The thing that the big spinny thing on top keeps
Right.
spinning. Big
Yeah.
fan, right? But I think most of the time it's a very appropriate aircraft for what we do. When it's not though. And so there have been sometimes where you're like, man, we are not equipped for this particular patient, and those are bummers.
Right.
And sometimes you can figure out a way to make you the right aircraft, and then sometimes it says we need to start somebody bigger. And so, I mean, I think for us that usually has to do with patient size is one of our bigger limitations.
Yeah.
And then from a medical standpoint, our patients can't sit all the way up just by configuration of the 407. And so if you have, especially, we see it in our CHFers that are on CPAP, BiPAP, that they really appreciate sitting as high foulers as they can, and we can't always facilitate that, and so. And so that's a challenge, and that's something that we know of in our aircraft. But we're especially flying at altitude. We really like the 407 98.7% of the time. It's reliable as all heck, and works really well for us at altitude.
But it's just like you said, though, Ken, it's about how you're setting yourself up for success. And you're very particular about the way that, which way you're putting your IV lines, which way you're putting your monitor lines, how you're setting up for where you're putting your bags in the aircraft. Like everything is thought out appropriately to be able to make that aircraft do the best that it possibly can in that situation. And that's what it's all about, is setting yourself up for success.
Well, in many of those lessons you learn from other people, and the best ones are the ones you learn on your own. You're like, man, that's
not doing that again.
That did not work out the way I thought it was going to.
Trust me, I have the same conversations with myself, no matter what the airframe I'm in. And I've flown in a couple different airframes. I love the 155. But yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do to get there safely and set yourself up so that you can continue that high level of care. I look at a 407 and I'm amazed. Like I don't know that I would fit in a 407, but I do that would be a challenge for me.
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, save lives, and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
I'm fortunate enough that I'm properly height sized, that I fit pretty well in a 407. But not everybody is. When you see a 6, Mike, how tall are you? You look tall. How tall are you?
6'1".
Yeah, you would have less of a fun time in a 407, especially in the airway seat and the medic seat, where the sled kind of is at your at your knees. Yeah. It's for those of us in the more 5'7" variety, we fit we fit a little bit better in there.
Is that like fun sized?
It's what I tell myself. It's certainly what I tell myself is this is what I'm made for.
Just like fighter pilots, right? Like there's no like 6'5" fighter pilot.
I would imagine not. I mean, you got to crawl into those things. That's why Tom Cruise was such a good fighter pilot, because he's
absolutely.
I don't think he's on the extra tall side.
No.
But no, I mean, setting yourself up for success, learning from things that haven't gone super smooth before. We're a big fan of warding off evil spirits. And so, having that airway roll out on a patient that you really don't want to have to take that airway on,
is
having
it
that
possible in this field to not be superstitious about that stuff?
If you aren't, I'm not sure I want to be.
I don't think you can be trusted at that point.
It's like people that don't like dogs. I don't know if I can trust you if you don't like dogs. No, there's some things that we are very superstitious about, and I'm certainly one of them, and I'm superstitious because I haven't had to do that X, Y, and Z, and it's because I've had my airway roll out every time that we haven't had to do that. But I think especially for new clinicians that are starting this HEMS kind of flight world, is it's funny in EMS. At least this is my personal experience. Early on in my career, mistakes were something that I was terrified of. And only through flying and on the critical care side, you really start to appreciate and understand mistakes are learning opportunities. And I value every time that something doesn't go exactly the way I wanted it to go, because it helped me for the next time. And we can't be scared to understand that mistakes happen. And obviously we work in high risk fields where your mistake could be detrimental to patient care.
Mhm.
And we need to strive to always do what's right for the patient. But especially when it comes to like preparing to facilitate a transport, the mistake might be, hey, I had my blood was not accessible and I didn't think that I needed it, and now I'm yard sailing bags trying to get to it in a 407.
Yep.
And so, and then you learn on the next one, hey, I'm going to put the blood right here where it's
Yeah.
easily accessible on this patient. So learning those things, we shouldn't beat ourselves up over them. We should understand that those are all opportunities. And by the way, every experienced flight clinician that's been flying for any significant length of time has made lots of those learning opportunities. And
we wonder why we're so OCD about everything.
Right?
Yeah,
It's because we've made the mistakes.
it's and it's the funny things that you're OCD about. So in the 407, because I'm assuming you just drive your patient on a full-size hospital gurney in and out of the 55. So in ours, it's very similar, just a little different. So as we open up the side of the helicopter to facilitate getting the patient out, we have very specific places that the monitor goes, that, lines, tubes, seatbelts are clear. You're my air. It's very specific.
Yeah.
And it's slow. And throughout my career, it sounds weird, I've gotten slower, and if slow is fast. It's true. I mean, that's probably one thing that I've picked up more throughout my career, is to slow down.
Mhm.
It is much better to catch something before a tube gets pulled, an IV gets pulled, whatever the case is, from high consequence to low consequence. Just slow down.
Yeah.
And we're already moving fast enough. Making sure that we're slowing down a little bit, I think has been one of the keys to my career.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think my slowdown is just because of age. And
my
so
back.
that's
And my back and my
definitely right.
knees
Yeah.
and-
It's called wisdom, Blake. Wisdom.
Yeah. I like to call it that, but it's really just me like, wait, what was that? Are we supposed to
call
do?
wisdom.
Oh yeah, like that. But
it's
you're
definitely
right.
not
That's
forgetfulness or
No,
anything that
not
else
at
comes
all.
with age. It's
not at all.
definitely
No.
wisdom.
The follicle challenges, to life.
Oh, hey. The
Hey, man,
follicle
right there with
challenge.
you. Hey, it's all right.
Good. All right.
The Fraternal Order of Bald Flight Paramedics, right here. So
Yeah, they left the top of my head and they moved to my lip, and I don't completely understand how that worked, but
it happens.
It does. No, we do everything. I mean, we just talked about, speed is a treatment. Speed of transport is a treatment for a patient. And so everything we do is geared around fast. But your lift time is X minutes. We're 2 minutes for every mile en route. You know what? Everything is geared around time and speed. There is a balance between the speed and the hold on. Let's slow down for a second. Let's make sure that and finding that balance is I think is key for any clinician as they kind of come through the flight environment,
especially in some of the environments that you're working in out there. And that's not just for interfacilities. Like,
sure.
You're all concerned about scene work, but yes, you're still going to get that patient to where they need to be in a much quicker fashion, but you're going to do it more efficiently and faster by slowing down just a half a second and thinking about something before you're doing it safer. Absolutely.
Safety is so, and I mean, to that point, there was a time in my career I loved loading hot. Man, there's something about loading under spinning rotors and like, this is it. And now, hey, let's slow.
Yeah,
let's
can we shut down?
Can we shut down?
It's kind of a pain.
the spinny things and towels and sheets and pillowcases, and turns out we're no good to anybody if we take some FOD through the rotor system.
Right.
And
Not
yeah,
recommended.
we may have shaved a few seconds off by staying hot, but there's some risk involved in there, and there's times when you should, and there's all the reasons to stay hot. And I'm not saying that don't, but I'm definitely as I've moved through my career, I've definitely understood that slowing down and loading cold is not it's not a weakness. It's not a bad thing. It can be very appropriate for the patient.
For sure. Ken, I really appreciate the conversation today. It's been amazing learning about Big Bear Fire, all the things that you guys do out there. I love hearing what it's like, what EMS and helicopter EMS is like in other parts of the country. And so I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us. Not to mention just the general chat. It's been a lot of fun, solving some of the world's problems in EMS here with you today. And I think we could probably go on for a couple hours. So if you come to the next Echo conference in Philly, we'll have to sit down and have a drink there.
Yeah, and for everybody's benefit, we probably shouldn't have last too many more hours here, because anybody that knows me knows I can talk a little bit. But no, I appreciate you guys having me. It's always great to kind of hear from how other people in the industry are living their lives in their 155s and how the other half lives. But I appreciate you guys having me. I really do. And hopefully we can make the last Echo conference in San Diego that I got to was a ton of fun, and everything that Echo's doing has been incredible for the industry as a whole. So looking forward to getting out to the next one.
Really appreciate that, and certainly hope to see you out of the next one as well.
Well, Ken, I think it's great. You guys are doing awesome work out there in your community. I love hearing just such a good, well-rounded community support. So I think it's great. You guys are doing awesome work. I'm jealous of the scenery, not jealous of 4-hour transports going by ground, chaining up tires. I think I'll just stay where I'm at for the time being. I think it'll work.
Florida has its not a lot of mountains that you're having to deal with in Florida. Enjoy the beach. But you know what? Every environment has their own challenges, and so I think getting to share some of those experiences with people that have different challenges is always a blast. So if you ever find yourself out and want to see what the ski slopes look like, let us know, and we'll drag you over one.
I just need a sled to just go down. I've tried twice in my life to ski and snowboard. Neither were successgonna successful. So
I'll tell you, sleds are one of the sketchier ones out here. We got stories for sleds, but
you're not helping my cause any.
No, I'm telling you, man, sleds are because people just find the side of the road and start sledding, and you're like, that's not a great idea. So
I mean, it's a great it's a great idea once.
Yeah, everything's a great idea once. Turns out the lodge has a ton to offer, and
that's where I'll be.
We're not getting any younger, so backs don't feel the same way. So we take care of the bodies,
Well, we appreciate you so much for coming on, man. What a great conversation. So thank you.
I appreciate you guys having me. I hope you guys have fun. We'll see you at the next Echo conference. All right.
Sounds great. Thanks again, Ken. And thank you to all of our listeners out there for your continued support of the Vertical Helicast platform and the Valor Flight Crew podcast. Don't forget, if you're all caught up in the Valor Flight Crew podcast episodes, you can head on over to verticalhelicast.com. Check out the Hangar Z podcast, Helicopter podcast, Real Rescue podcast, and the Vertical MRO podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Peace.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Valor Flight Crew podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories that promote the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Lastly, stand by for a message from our sponsors.
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
Thank you to our sponsor, Metro Aviation. Metro Aviation, the world's largest family-owned aeromedical operator, offers comprehensive aircraft services with 140-plus aircraft in over 25 states. The Completion Center installs medical and law enforcement kits and avionics, serving diverse aviation needs including offshore, utility, VIP, and corporate sectors.
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, save lives, and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Valor Flight Crew Podcast. A big thank you to Ken Fox from Big Bear Fire Department for sharing his perspective from the aviation side of their mission, reminding us that whether it's a small mountain town or a major metro system, strong partnerships between ground and air crews make all the difference when seconds count. Conversations like this highlight what truly drives the industry forward: trust, communication, and a shared commitment to getting patients to the right care at the right place at the right time. From the realities of retention and burnout to the promise of safe mission outcomes in sometimes austere environments, it all comes back to people, the crews, communities, and the patients we serve. We hope you enjoyed learning about other helicopter air ambulance services across the country just as much as we did. Be sure to like and share with your crews, and make sure you tune in next week for more stories that promote the personnel and life-saving equipment behind helicopter air ambulance services. Be safe, everyone, and we'll see you all next time on the Valor Flight Crew Podcast.